It's been a while. No one's wanted to talk to me in many years. So, rusty or not, let's just do it. Let's just throw that first pitch out there.
Fucking
it's like
awesome.
riding a bike.
That's right. Yeah, just you get right back into the saddle. Okay. All right, let's get down to business. Here we go. Hey everybody. Welcome to episode 73 of The Rich Dickman Show, the podcast that is slightly better than mediocre. I'm your host, I am Rem. Once again, here again, just doing stuff. Hopefully not as drunk as last week. I'm sorry for that, really. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. It's kind of funny. But anyways, I'm here with Ray. We have a couple guests tonight. Busy show, jam-packed, lots going on. It's going to be fun. I sound like a radio host tonight, Ray. This is impressive. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, doing well. Just, living the dream. How are you doing?
I decided we need more guests on the show because I sound awesome. But Ray, I am super excited tonight because, last week we got into it a little bit. We discovered a new genre of pornography, and I think it opened a whole new world to us with climate change porn. And I decided we needed to reach out and talk to people who actually know what they're talking about when it comes to this type of stuff. So, without any further ado, all right, I have the one and only. I have Swiney from Swiney's program here with us. Swiney, hello, how are you? I'm so excited.
What's up, guys? I can't wait to offer my stylings on climate change porno. This is really amazing.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, no, this is a great thing. I don't know if you've seen this, Swiney, but Pornhub they paid somebody to make porno on a very dirty beach. Well, so these two people were having sex while people picked it up, and it was fascinating.
It was amazing.
Kryptonite to me is the word Pornhub. So anytime you say it, I kind of want to vomit because those guys ripped me off and a lot of my contemporaries off for so many years. So even though they offer a platform where I could make money, I will not deal with them in any way, shape, or form. I fucking hate those guys.
Oh wow! Let me write that down because I want to come back to that because that is super interesting to me because we have a mostly. I'm going to guess mostly male audience. Now, our audience isn't that big, Mr. S. Can I call you Mr. S? I don't know. Is Swiney, what do you prefer? I'm
Swiney, whatever.
Okay.
Either one's fine.
And we've always, we see pornography on the internet and we think it's all wonderful and everybody has their own different style and different tastes and different fetishes, but we never know what really happens behind the scenes. We get the glamorized version of it or the book version or some drug-ridden, drug-addled, burnouts version. We never get the real story. We never hear from the men in the industry who put it all together. And I think that's you. I think you put a lot of this together for yourself and your partners and your fans.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a one-man gang, for sure. I think you don't get as much introspect on the business with the shift away from DVD and people that made cohesive projects. Like when you had a series, you shot your 4 or 5 or 6 scenes for the movie, and along the way you accumulated a lot of BTS, and the BTS would show a lot of different, if you especially knew how to add the right stuff, but it showed a lot of the banter, when you're taking pictures, or some of the fucking whenever you're taking pictures and about to set up for the pops, or just any kind of chicanery that was happening on set. And I think that's been really missing for 5 or 6 years now, because when you go back to about 2013, 2014 was when even the people releasing DVDs, they were putting out mostly kind of stuff that was shot for the web first. And then the people that were left shooting DVD first, you had newer people, and the companies weren't really into runtime or that being part of the runtime. Because when we shot movies, we wanted to show our personality. We wanted to show how we got along or didn't get along with the chicks, because sometimes you couldn't help but have a bit of a meltdown, right? Because a girl could work great for 15 other people, but she shows up for you, and it's just, it's oil and water. It's just not going to happen. And also, when you try and shoot a lot of new girls, if you're shooting teenage lines or anytime you want to not get caught up shooting who everyone else is shooting. You got to jump into like, okay, I'll take a chance on her. And that's where you find like real diamonds in the rough, but you also find real lumps of coal too, because sometimes the chicks were fucking just a wreck, man. You're just like, you just want to throw them off a building. You're so mad at them, you know?
Wow.
It's like, why am I paying you?
It's funny. We've had such like you can go through the decades, right, of pornography. Now I'm 38 years old, so I have, recollection of the 80s porn very barely from the early 90s, and 90s porn is where I hit my groove in enjoying pornography, and the 2000s. So you had 80s, which is kind of like, I don't know. The image that sticks out to me in the 80s was fitness models who weren't really fitness, but they wore all the fitness. It's weird. But 90s like really. Go ahead.
The big hair and the leggings and I know what you mean. They had the fitness attire, like they were wearing spandex and.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. And then we moved into the 90s where we got like the glamour, and you had these women who looked like supermodels, and they were doing porn. And they became icons, Jenna Jameson, first one that comes to your mind, and she was gorgeous, and she was a big star. And then we went to the 2000s where it became, I guess, gonzo porn is the word, where we had handheld cameras and first person views and all, and things got a little more extreme. And now we're kind of in this weird spot where we're in the 2010s. I guess you can call that this decade, Ray. 2010s, is that what we call it?
Yeah,
but where we have a mix of like all of that, and it's. You get the MILF porn, and you have the weird gonzo stuff and the extreme stuff. Then there's kind of like a glamour thing on the side. But like, because we're so accepting now of everything, we have the BBWs, and then we have the trans porn, and we have all sorts of things going on. And it's really exciting to be a connoisseur of pornography like my friend Ray is.
Passing up the buck to Ray. I like that.
Yeah, I pretty much watch it all.
Well, one thing you can kind of compare it to, and it's very similar from my perspective, is the natural progression you just kind of spoke of. It's kind of similar to the way music, and not just rock and roll music, but music in general. Because when you come out of the 60s and you get into the 70s, you go from that whole like Vietnam. You have R&B, you got Motown, you got rock and roll, and you got the whole like kind of rock rebellion going on. And as you push into the 70s, bands are getting bigger, arena rock kind of comes in, and all the money up at the top with like I said, arena rock, disco, all that. So there was a bit of a deconstructing when punk rock came through and opened the door for everything else that was a little more honest. What you said about porno was, again, a natural progression. The 70s was the golden era, was all film, it was theaters. And then you go into the home console era, and things just kept getting bigger as far as like, once the money was being made on the home console, you didn't got to worry about movie theaters anymore. People could kind of start honing the craft a little more and targeting their audience better. But when you get into the 90s, and now the stars are getting so big and so unattainable, you needed Gonzo to come in because people wanted to see stuff get harder and raunchier and boundaries pushed. And that was kind of the punk rock dynamic, because when you take from, say, like 96 to like 2006, you started pushing into much better handheld shooting being done. You had more people that were performers now holding cameras or running companies. And that's what really kind of pushed Gonzo further, when you had dudes that knew how to perform in scenes, driving the scene. See, I didn't perform before holding the camera. I held the camera first and performed later, because there was a real turning point for me. Because at some point I realized, one, the chicks were turning me on too much. I couldn't just not want to fuck them, But I didn't want to fuck in a room full of people. I wanted the chick on my terms. So I figured out, okay, cool. My best friend's Mike John. If he was able to kick down the door and start doing the POV thing, which more people were doing, I had to learn that skill set, which became a weapon that was so important for me to have any last staying power in the business down the road. I didn't realize that first, but that became a real important weapon for me to have, where I had different value to other places where I worked, because you could save money by just throwing me in the scene, or any number of variables would come in where if I could do POVs, it helped everyone involved. So back to the point is, when you got to like into the 2000s, from like 02 to like 09, 2010, you had just a real good run of real elevated Gonzo. Everyone was making money. It was pre-web. The web was starting, but it hadn't really changed everything yet. And so this real nice natural, it was Gonzo versus feature, right? That was kind of the two things and all the subgenres underneath. But then the web comes in and, you know, they did a couple of things. What everyone always talks about them stealing or ripping us off. Okay, of course, that's an important dynamic, but you got to consider that if we're in 2019, 1999 was 20 years ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What they started doing was they started just creating a whole new type of consumer that liked their type of porno, because the web guys, they couldn't do it like we did. Because when Brazzers and those dicks all started in Montreal, and the jerk off in Florida that were ripping everyone off, whether it be Bang Boat or Captain Stabbin or Bang Bros with the whole reality pickup thing, or, oh yeah, let's pick up the chick and then throw her out of the bus. Okay, they were doing that because they couldn't do it the way we did. They were separated. So they did it their way. And because of the internet, and I'm not picking on their porno, I'm not judging it one way or the other, but they created a whole new style outside of the main business in Southern California on the West Coast. And so with this whole new internet thing, with what was thumbnail galleries, that led to, like, they had to shoot these really glossy photos to make it look good, because when you watch the scene didn't really look that good, right? It was, but the photos were like fucking amazing. You know, like, oh, that chick's so hot. Like, well, that's her. You know, anyway. So I give them credit for, like, just sticking to their guns, but they created a whole new, bigger fan base, a whole new type of customer and porno fan. And we thought we were just going to coexist. Like, they got their side of the coast, we got us, we got a head start, we're porno legends, we got all this history. And no, that's not the case, man. They completely chopped our fucking legs off and watched us bleed to death. And only the people that were so dug in were able to kind of survive that nuclear winter from, like, 2009 to 2014. You know, that's where everyone just completely finally, that couldn't do it, were gone, me included, you know. But it's cool. I mean, that's the way it goes. I had a good run.
That's fascinating, though. It's something that I had never really thought about, because as the porno viewer, you just notice the change in styles, but all the extra stuff behind the scenes that you just mentioned is pretty fascinating. So, Swiney, how did you start in the business? Like, when and what were you doing when you started it? How did that transition into what you do now? And I think you might have addressed some of that already, but.
Well, the direct involvement with porno. Okay, so me and Mike John, his brother Glenn, we're all friends from Venice, California. Me and Glenn are the same age. Mike's 4 years older than me. And so Mike got a job working for Diabolic and Anabolic in the late, like, 96, right? So
yeah,
he's shooting for a couple of years. I went through some personal tragedy, and when I was kind of coming out of it, I went and worked on set for him a few times just as a PA and this and that, and helping him out, non-sex roles, whatever. But I wasn't ready to, like, jump in full time. So you fast forward to, like, 2002, and I'm cleaning pools, and there's this dude that is living in a guest house, one of my clients, right, one of my customers. He ends up, I'll make this as fast as possible. These details are kind of important. But so this guy picked up an editing and shooting gig for these web guys, and they said, hey, do you want to start doing camera work with us? I'm like, sure, I'll give it a shot. Why not? So I started holding camera for these dudes at the end of 2002. And then come March of 2003, we were shooting like 2 and 3 days a week, you know, and it was the websites gangbangsquad.com and teensforcash.com in the beginning, right? And so I became pretty integral to their operation, much to the dude who got me in, who I thought was my friend. This guy's name was Will Hansen. Andrew Stoddard was his real name. He started Hush Hush Entertainment at some point. Anyways, that jerk off, he brought me in, and we would do the reality style pickup, right? I didn't like the fact we were riffing on someone else's idea, but what was I going to do? I mean, they said, that's the gig, take it or leave it. And I needed the money. I was only making like $1,400 a month for my pull out. It was brutal. I was living very poor at those times. So they also liked the fact that I knew the San Fernando Valley really well. And we would do these reality type pickups. And, you know, we would do a thing where the girl shows up and I would tell her right away, listen, I'm only going to talk to you a little bit. Me and the guys are only going to talk to you a little bit. So that whenever we do this reality style pickup, our banter is like we don't really know each other. I want it to seem fresh because it will be, but I'll give you some points to stick to, and we'll just freestyle it. Just follow my lead. And she's like, okay. And man, I'm telling you, some of those street pickups, like we had people that were calling the cops, like thinking we were abducting people. We had old women like behind our backs.
Officer,
like,
I'm just shooting some porn.
Yeah, there was old women behind our backs, like waving to them, like "Run away, get out of here!" All kinds of stuff, and it worked. And that was a really good. It was integral for my learning how to deal with talent as the years were going to come by. Because when you fast forward, we were shooting Gangbang Squad, Teens for Cash, Backseat Bangers, Boat Bangers, MILF Seeker, and there was another one. We were shooting a lot of websites. That guy just took on all this work. And so I went on to salary for like a month and a half. I sold my pool route. I was on salary for like just a month and a half, and me and him were having a lot of friction because I was working all the time, and the crew was coming to me and not him, and he resented that because that dude Will Hansen wrote the checks. He felt everyone should go to him first. So we had a meeting, and I thought it was cool. And later that day, my mom got killed in a car wreck, so I told him I needed a couple days off. And when I came into work, the day after Thanksgiving, thank you guys. I came into work. I called to work on the day after Thanksgiving. And he's like, "Dude, you're fired. You're out." And I was like, "What?" I thought we were cool. He's like, "Sorry, I'm like, "You're gonna do me like that?" At the time, like, "No." He's like, "Not my problem. Your mom died. What the fuck am I gonna do about it?" I'm like, "Whoa! Don't let me ever catch you around town, dude. I'm going to fucking murder you." Anyway,
wow.
So that brought about
some real shit.
Yeah, that brought about like a whole new like venom in my system. So that when Mike John got back from Europe, he called me from Europe. He's like, "Look, Timmy, I know you're gonna want to kill that dude. Don't do it. I'll find you work when I get back. I'm in Europe for 3 weeks. Just sit tight." So when Mike came back, that opened the door for me to start working for Midnight Prowl, Meat Holes, and for different people at Red Light District. So that was all real integral to me getting in, holding a camera, learning how to be around talent, both male and female in a positive way, because you got to let the guys know, like, that's not good enough, but you can't be killing boners, right? You got to get to the end of the day. And you got to remind the chick, like, hey, that's not good enough, but you don't want her to throw a fit and go hide in the corner and cry or, like, smash a camera on the way out the door saying, "I don't need you, fuck off." But so that's where you got to be a different type of, like, lion tamer, so to speak,
all the ego massaging you have to do too. My God, these things you don't think about.
Yeah, there's, and sometimes the ego's a good thing. It's just if they clash, if they don't mix, then you got to really. And here's the other thing: some people would never kill a scene. There's a real power in killing a scene. If it's not going to work and you're not going to get what you're paying for, then you're a fool not to kill the scene. I saw way too many people where I'd be doing camera, I wasn't a director or something. And they're like, "Let's just keep going." Like, say if it was a male performer and it was his series and he just wanted to get to the end of the day or something. And I'd say something after, like, "Wow, I mean, I would have killed that. Do you really want to put that out? That energy was really bad." Some people just don't care. They just wanted to get paid for their fucking heart on and go home and do it all again tomorrow. And I can't fault them for that. It was just, I kind of came through where you had to let your movies and your stuff speak for itself. Like, because if I show up at Red Light District in 2003, 2004, they had Mike John, Eric Everhard, Vince Voyer, Michael Stefano, Manuel Ferrara, Tony Rivas. I mean, they had like this fucking like New York Yankees crew of the 20s,
Ray, and I know all those names, Ray.
Jake Malone, David Luger, all those guys were there. And I come walking in and I had to like talk about hit the ground running, dude. There was no room for mistake when I wanted to make a name for myself there. So it was weird for me to be around people that just didn't really seem to care that much. They just they just wanted to get it done and get the load out and then bang someone else tomorrow.
So how did you get into what you're doing now? And tell us a lot about what you're doing now.
Okay, so this all kind of happened just because of just kind of going broke. I mean, we had set up a place called the Beer Chateau, and we were there for about 8 years. And that was a house we had in Northridge that we took over from a guy named Dan Silver. He was renting there. And he kind of flunked out, so we took it over. And Mike and Everhart had spent money on building a hotel in like Central America. And at some point, Mike had to go down and run that hotel. And when Mike went down there in 2012, like February, he was supposed to only go down for a few months at a time, like maybe 5 months tops. But he went down there and he never came back. And so I had to run Mike John Productions by myself with smaller and smaller checks for 4 years. And there was a couple things where, now I know I'm running his company and I'm shooting his movies, but we were a team and, we did our best to, keep everything going. But sometimes he would need money for that hotel and not tell me. And so I went dry, kind of died on the vine. And towards the end of that, there was like maybe it was because of Twitter. I don't know how this magical thing happened. I dated Kelly Shibari for like 3.5 years, and coming out of dating her, like people kind of knew me in the BBW talent pool, but I hadn't really like performed at anything yet. So out of nowhere, God bless Jade Rose, wherever you are, Jade in Austin, Texas, or whatever. I love you and miss you. We hit each other up through Twitter, and she came over just to shoot a trade scene or something, like paid trade, but it was during a moratorium. And I'm like, look, I totally want to do this. I don't perform with anyone that's even part of a moratorium, which happens when someone's an HIV positive in the talent pool. So I knew I was nowhere near, and you don't really have to worry about it if you don't like take fluid, then you're not going to get HIV, and I don't shoot drugs on my arm. But I said, if we shoot a scene right now and people find out about it, they're going to lose their minds. I go, but if you want to fuck off camera, we can. And so we fucked off camera for a couple hours, and it was amazing. So she kind of put the word out, and next thing you know, it's Eliza Allure and Bella Ben show up, and I do a 3-way. And then Bella comes back, and we do a DP, and then so I just had, these BBWs come out of nowhere. Because before they showed up, I was able to hire girls that I had shot regular and when we had a good rapport, and I would just pay them like a real reduced rate to shoot these content scenes with me. And I got very lucky that Raven S., Casey Starr, Luna C. Kitsune, Adriana Nicole, those were like some decent named chicks. And they let me and Angus Maple, that fucker, they let us DP them. And the thing about the whole Pro-Am style is, I was trying to strip it down because some people like to use the word body positive. I am not body positive. I'm horny positive. I don't care if what your size is or what your age is. If you're horny and you want to take your clothes off on camera and you're good at fucking, then you should be here. There should be, yeah. I mean, it's not everyone's going to like you no matter what your shape is. And so,
see Ray.
Well, and that's what I mean. That's what I was saying is it's not necessarily, you don't have to have everyone like you. It's the people that want to watch you will watch you and enjoy it. That's what matters. Right.
And it couldn't suck. I couldn't just like a lot of people were going through the motions and thinking they were adding like dynamics to but they weren't. And look, shot at home porno is different than what I'm doing. I call it Pro-Am because there's a bit of a pro and am aspect colliding, right? And I do know what ranks as like energy. And so I always tried to keep the energy up, and I didn't want to like do scenarios or anything like that or regular intros because then I'm just, putting perfume on a pig. I'm just using fat guys in regular porno. I needed to take it further than that and make it only about the sex, because once it was only about the sex, then people are either going to drop it or pick it up and run with it right away. And that's what I need. I didn't want any middle ground. And, the whole static camera, like shooting on tripod and sometimes POV, I started noticing when I was chopping that stuff that if you want to be a true voyeur and a true stroker in the room, that whole tripod camera, after like 3 or 4 minutes, you're like, your peripheral vision changes. It gets wider. It's almost like you absorb the whole room, but yet you can see the action in the middle. It's kind of weird how I saw that dynamic happen as I was chopping all this stuff over the first year or so. Anyway, so it just kind of happened for like as a side project, and then it became like the BBWs showed up, and it got like really fun because the BBWs don't have enough people wanting to shoot hardcore with them. BBW has always been so vanilla for so long because there's too many things against it. Okay. one, very few people that produce BBW porno actually like the fat chicks. They just do it because it's a category that's filling a release slot for their company like 3 or 4 times a year, right? Two, if you can't get popular male performers to work with them because it damages their reputation. If the top guys work with the fat chicks, they look desperate and no one wants to pay their rate anymore. So there's that one. 3, the dudes that they had and the directors they had didn't really know how to orchestrate really hard gonzo anyway. They were all kind of flunky, like B and C list people at best at every stage of the production. So it's always been kind of an uphill battle for the BBW category to get any real light shined on it or anything really created with any real energy from my perspective, because I don't only like fat chicks. I've dated a number of them in my personal life for years of my life, not just Kelly Shabari. The civilians I dated before her were plus-size girls. So I definitely put my money where my mouth is when it comes to liking, chicks that are overweight, right? And me being overweight too, and of course Angus Maple, we just try and respect their desire to take dicks in the ass and loads in the mouth and DPs and stuff, because why would we want to deny them? We would never want to do that. So,
and this is all like, so let me ask, and you must, so I want you to know that I've spent many episodes talking about my enjoyment of the BBW model. All right, I'm a big fan. Ray, not so much, but to each their own. And I can't tell him his opinion's wrong, though it is. So I guess my question is going to go next is into booking talent and organizing the shoot. Like, where does the talent come to you? Or are you looking for the talent? You had mentioned trade content a few minutes ago. How do you get Bella Benz to come to your place and shoot a scene with you?
Yeah, and especially the first year when I still had some money to pay chicks, I would pay, whatever I could. Sometimes I'd pay something and then cover their test or whatever. But a lot of it was through Twitter and word of mouth. Like, cause see, since the great and horrible thing about the BBW talent pool is it's really small. So if people have rave about you, then everybody wants to fuck you, right? But if someone hears something that might not even be true and it's negative, then they just don't even bother, like, they won't even like you on Twitter. They're like, just completely ignore you. So a lot of that was basically just through Twitter. And again, the first year and a half or so when I still had some money to pay people, I did. But then it just worked out into where you would shoot just mutual trade. Some people like to do like shoot a scene for me and I'll shoot a scene for you. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather just shoot a scene and we split it, because what if she's great in the scene you shoot for her and then she's burned out when she's got to shoot for you? I'm not saying anyone does that purposely, but you just run that risk. Yeah. And so I'd rather just leave it honest and say, okay, we're going to share this. So let's just fucking tear each other apart the best we can and see where it goes. And there was, the first 2 or 3 years, there was a lot of really good energy, I know some people in the business don't like me. I don't like them back. That's Christian Triple X. I'm talking to you.
Oh shit.
It's fine. I'll come out and say it because, he kind of caused some friction with me and Kelly Shabari at the time, and he can't take any criticism. His skin's really thin, and it's not that I have a beef with him. It's just I heard through Porno Dan that he was bashing me to people whenever he'd come over. My name would come up at their at Porno Dan studio, and I'm like, all right, that's it. Enough with this guy, because I have no reason to be nice to him anymore. Well, he works with a lot of BBW models. He still pays them. So I don't know that he's saying bad things about me to them, but almost all the chicks that work with him first never work with me. So it's kind of lame. It kind of sucks.
That guy, he'll fuck anything too. Like he's fucking everything. He's been topped and bottomed and BBW'd and trans and all that stuff, man. Wow. I'm surprised his name even came up. This is interesting, right?
I give the guy credit for being resilient and like just doing what he wants to do. He doesn't care what anyone has to say, but you can only take that attitude so far before you find yourself kind of outside of certain like talent pools. And that's why he had to go from LA to Vegas, because he was just too caustic and too stubborn about things that he should have been.
He looks like an asshole. Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't like the guy. You know, I'm too old to get in fights now. You know, so if I ever do fight him, I'm not going to fight him fair. I'll use like a baseball bat or a chainsaw. But
oh, we're so alike. Yes. That's my method too.
So sometimes word of mouth can really like put you in a bad spot with people you don't even know in the trade realm of making porno. And that's just the way it goes. What are you going to do? So it's kind of slowed down. I moved out to Vegas in just over 2 years ago, and it's been pretty brutal out here. I don't get nearly as much work as I thought I would as far as people coming to town and shooting trade. It's really slowed down for me out here. But, you know, if I got to eventually just stop shooting and go back to a regular job, then I guess I got to do it. I'm not.
Well, that's interesting. Like that you're talking about. I'm curious. Do you have a count of like how many total movies or whatever you want to call it
scenes? Ray, Jesus, don't embarrass yourself. There's scenes.
Did you just call one a scene?
Well, yeah, I could do more. You keep track of your scenes and then
releases.
In the past, when I was making movies, you had your movies you made, but your scenes went into the movies.
Yeah.
Now it's all scenes. So my scene count's not that high. I think it's only like, I don't know, I don't think I've got to 400 yet, but it's definitely over 300, probably like 350 or so. Because again, I just don't shoot that often, but I maximize what I shoot by just trying to be really smart with where I promo. Like I built the big X Hamster page that had all my trailers. That was a lot of work with GIFs and photo galleries and mega trailers, and all that clicks through. You have a clips for sale page, a many-vids page, X-Hammer premium page. I got websites with my older stuff through James Dean called povperverts.net, Pervert Gallery. I have like 7 or 8 websites. And eventually you just get like overwhelmed and like got to walk away for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I've got 3 of them open right now. I've got your many vids, your clips for sale, and your X Hamster premium, just so I can have some reference material here for when you mention people.
Well, you get 3 of them open, all 7 of them bookmarked.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what you do, Swiney. When you book a talent, all right, let's say Eliza Allure's coming over. All right, is it before she gets there or when she gets there, you talk about what you're going to do, whether it's going to be, you know, just straight sex, if it's going to be a DP, or if you're going to do some anal or where the facial and the mouth, you know, where does that conversation happen and how does it go?
The main specifics are dealt with like in the texting, like, or the DMing or however you set it up. And then whenever they show up, you worry about where the pig sauce is going a little bit later. Like if you've shot with her a couple of times
I love it.
And you've jerked off in her face, then maybe she'll take a load up the ass. You know, you never know. And then sometimes I want to say, I think the DP scene we shot with her was the second time, maybe the third time I shot with her. I think it was the second time. And the first time was the boy, girl with her and Eliza. So in the DP scene, I don't know, she just came to party that day, man. She was so horny, but then so were we. And so in round 1, like it's rare for me to like cheese ball and like pop during the scene without having to crank it, right? I rarely just pop because I've done so much of this and I'm so jaded and I'm old, and sometimes if you take the Viagra, then it's hard to pop. So it's better to have like wood and like get through a long scene and then jerk at the end and like just cheese ball and pop in 5 minutes. But me and Angus were DPing her, man, and she starts like going off, and he pops out, and he's waiting to get back in, and she starts riding him. I'm like, she's gonna drain me right now. She's getting a cream. And look, you can't just throw a girl her size off you real quick. And I just let her have it. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pop. You're getting cream pie. Sorry, if I gotta buy you a Plan B pill, I will. But that's before I realized her tubes were tied, so it was okay to go ahead and chop the waters there. So you just the details are mostly laid out beforehand, and then the specifics, you know, little like the sprinkles on top of the cake, whatever, on top of the cupcake. That's what you talk about, you know, with a cum shot or ass to mouth or something like that, you know.
So fascinating.
Does the price change for different things? Like obviously, in my brain, straight sex would be cheaper than anal sex, and a facial in the mouth would be a little more expensive. Is there a pay scale to the different activities they partake in?
Whenever you're paying models, everything's kind of etched in stone for like your just average models, and then you got your A-listers, and then on top of your A-listers, there's like these 4 or 5 girls that are like so booked and so busy all the time. You got to really pay a premium. But anything like you change is usually just like anywhere from $100 to $200 different. Like in the past, a DP would be $1,200, and if you wanted to add a third guy to the scene, then it'd be $1,400. So you just add $200. If I was shooting a blow bang, I would probably start with 4 guys at $150 each, and then add each additional guy at $100. If the chick was a regular girl, if she was a star, then it would just have to be $200 each all the way across the board. So if you're shooting a 5-guy blow bang, it's $1,000 for her, and then you typically pay the guys like $150. At least for a while we were paying them $200, but I had to start cutting corners and everything. When you're shooting a 7-scene movie and you shave $50 off 4 and 5 guys at a time, do the math. You're saving yourself $2 or $3 grand by the end of that movie. That's a real big deal. Because we owned our own product. We didn't shoot for Jules Jordan Video. He was our distributor. Me and Mike John owned our movies, so our budget had to be really surgical at times to make it perform like it should once we sent it out to the distributors. Okay.
This is a fun. I'm sorry to ask this, and you can tell me to go fuck myself if you want. But do they get cash at the end of the day, or is it beforehand, or do they get a check from Swiney Industries in the mail? Like how does that work?
Everyone pays different. There's been times I've paid people cash. Like there's been times where I'll be like, and you just do a cash receipt, because I was incorporated for a while. I had a C corp, and corporations are cool when you're making enough money to warrant one, right? Whenever I first kind of came in working for Mike full time, he was at JJV. I started working for him full time like January of 2008, and he was still making probably $80 grand a month at that time, so you had to have a corporation. You can't just, if you hire a payroll company, that's cool, but it's another different kind of headache. But you typically write a check same day. Some people will have a payroll company and they W-4 you and they take taxes out. But 9 times out of 10, it's a same day or mail check experience. That's how it goes. Wow.
So what I've learned so far, Ray, is that if Swiney put in a good word for us, we could Twitter Lila Lovely and book a DP scene for about $1,200.
Yeah. Yep. I was thinking the same thing. I was already pulling out my wallet and counting my cash.
We just have to distribute it somewhere.
God willing. God willing. You see, if you're gonna approach girls that you want to bang, you got to approach them and ask them if they do fan bangs. And if they say yes, you have a chance, right? But if the chick doesn't do fan bangs, you gotta walk away from it, because one, of course, you got to get tested like we all do. You got to go down and do the whole testing, the full panel, and all that jazz. And that's a good step in the right direction. Makes you look good. But two, some
how does one start? It's like you have your many vids, your clip for sale, and all that stuff. And I'm not saying Ray and I are going to do this because we live too far away from each other. I mean, you never know, Ray. You never know what may happen in the future. But how does somebody who wants to be a new pornographer approach a model to work with them for the first time? Say, hey, I'm starting a new company. Because you don't want to come across as like that guy who's just trying to bang a chick and then get the hell out of there. Because you may be trying to start an actual business here. How would somebody? Sorry. How's that question posed? Like, hey, we're starting a new upstart company here. We'd like to make you our first feature starlet or some. Is that some? Am I in the correct path?
No, you don't want to do that.
No, okay.
What you want to do is if you really want to be here and you really want to start performing and you really want to start creating scenes, well, that's going to show in how you approach people, right? And you got to be very, like, entirely transparent. You got to say, okay, I'm brand new. I'm willing to pay. I'm trying to get started. I'll get tested. And you got to do whatever they say. You got to bend over backwards for the chicks, like for the first year at least. And again, the whole word of mouth thing comes around. You got to know about your paperwork. You got to have at least some type of vision of how you want your stuff to look, because you just said it. This isn't fucking someone's girlfriend after the Monday Night Football game's over. This is, you're trying to create something that's going to get some traction because you really want the fuck on camera. You got to hope they say yes, and if they don't, you say thanks for your time and you move on, because it's all up to them, right? I mean, of course, you want to be here, but you got to pay them for the time. You got to have all your paperwork ready to go. You got to know what it is that you need paperwork wise, IDs, all that jive. Mm-hmm. You gotta be a pro right out of the gate, and you gotta take your lumps, man. And the right chicks like you, and the right scenes go down, and you don't suck, then you'll maybe get some, because people are doing it all the time, right? But I see a lot of people shooting content, and they're pulling these girls off of sexy jobs, and there's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, so that's kind of how they get their starts. Kind of the girls that are also at the bottom of the ladder there, right? You can do that at the very beginning to learn your on-set behavior and get your dynamics down between you and your if there's two guys in the scene, like tag teaming, or if it's a one-on-one, or if your friend's holding the camera and you take turns, like he shoots the first half, you shoot the second half, all that stuff. That's good for that. But you got to start moving up and finding known, at least to some degree, like a Lila Lovely or a Bella Benz, or, you know, a girl with an actual fan base. Name. Once you start working with those girls, once you start working with those girls, you see that they come through the door with a different presence and attitude, right?
Yeah, then you can be like yelling at them. No, I'm just kidding.
Jesus, right?
So, I mean, look, stranger things have happened. If you really want to be here, you'll find a way. There's a couple of things you got to remember there that will help you immensely. So stick to your guns.
So do you shoot? Is that all the scenes we see? Is that at your house, or do you use somebody else's house, or do you rent a place, or what is it?
I typically shoot where I live, and occasionally I book in hotel rooms. Like I used to like shooting at Hooters. Was cool because I liked their low ceilings and the white walls. They had a really good, like, just real basic aesthetic. It lit really well. Those rooms for the money were like just big enough. I've shot at Tuscany, Hard Rock. So when I have money, like say I'm shooting 2 or 3 days in a row, I like to shoot at a hotel. But if depending on timing and who's around, I'll just shoot here at my little crummy apartment, you know, because I'm past the days of being able to wow people with my dwelling. You know, that's I'm broke, so I'm making it look that way. Why not? Who cares?
So bear with me here. Here's another weird question for you. Is you've got the two places I see you shoot the most. You got the couch and you got that bed. Is that bed specifically for shooting? And also, how often does that couch get cleaned? And do you have company on it?
Well, the couch, the super couch was really something, man. We bought that for when we were moving into the beer chateau. Me and Mike were looking for some furniture that was going to be very porno friendly, and that thing was perfect. It's deep. It doesn't have a back on it. Those cushions come off. So it was just a really cool, like for one-on-ones and tag teams. It was low, so you didn't have to, like, it was perfect height for your camera swoops and whatnot. And it was really good for POVs because you could lay back and do the cowgirl positions. When the girls were in doggy, it was really perfect height for, you know, if you have short legs like me. So, yeah, it used to get a ton of work. I always kept the sheet on it and kept it clean. It doesn't really get any use now. Now I just fuck on the bed in my bedroom because it just lights better. And I don't like shooting in my living room because the walls are thin at my new place. And I don't need my neighbors hearing me just tearing apart some chick for a couple hours. They're going to think that if someone's killing an ox or something in my place. So Yeah, the bed is not specific. It's just an old bed I've had forever. It's real creaky. Kind of adds to the Pro-Am flavor.
No,
you know?
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a great setup you have there, sir, for all the content that you produce. It's amazing. Have you ever had any like mistakes when you're doing like a tag team scene? You have, you know, multiple fellas. Have you ever hit the other guy with your ejaculation?
Yeah, that happens. I mean,
friendly fire.
See, look, whenever you decide that it's up to you to create a type of porno that other people can't, had already shot enough porno to know that if I was going to start jumping in and filming these DP scenes and all that stuff, that's stuff that was going to happen. Yeah, and it's like it's just something you got to sacrifice, because there was no one that could do porno with the chicks I knew in the beginning and then even into the BBW era, because of all the connections I had, how long I'd been around, and just I knew how to do it, right? So when Angus Maple comes in, he was completely brand new. I mean, I think he had only banged like 8 chicks in his whole life by the time I met him. And I was banged like 50, you know? But that was kind of good energy, because I'm the pro. I'm kind of leading the charge, and he's just got this real honest, horny energy. So, but in the, not necessarily a mistake thing, but in the first like 5 or 6 DP scenes we did, he would like pop really fast. And I don't blame him, because if you're not used to something feeling that tight and that good or whatever, you're just going to blow a gasket. And so
yeah.
I get these scenes going, and the energy's great, and we're building up to like where we DP here, and I'm like, all right, cool, we'll get 5-6 minutes, that's no problem. He's popping in like 45 seconds to a minute. I'm like, fuck, come on, bro. But you know, that's
so funny.
That's Angus Maple. I mean, he's so happy to be there. He just
fucking rookie.
Yeah. But it worked out, because he could always pop 2 or 3 times a scene, so we'd eventually get enough footage. And that's also the beauty of the Pro-Am.
Hashtag reload challenge.
The reason I did Pro-Am this way was because that's just honesty, right? That's an honest pair of old porkers banging a chick half their age and half their size. You're going to be horny, right? I mean, and these chicks are good at sex. And so then when we got into the BBWs, it didn't change. He was still just as horny and still cheeseballing sometimes. But, you know, hey, that's just making honest, accessible, true gonzo, in my opinion. So, yeah, it happens, and you get sprayed and hit sometimes. What are you going to do? The worst is if, like, we were doing a scene with Katie St. Ives one time, and he was banging her in Missionary, and I was getting blown, and he pulled out and popped, and I was filming holding a POV camera while I was getting blown. So I filmed him pop, whatever, but I'm focusing on so much, I don't notice it after he popped. He kind of like just rubbing her clit with the tip of his pork, right? So, you know, we take a break or something, and I don't know if I popped or what. We're starting to warm up again, and I go, all right, come here, Katie. Well, she's blowing him. I start eating her out. I'm like, why is her cunt so salty? I'm like, oh, that fucker. I don't know what to do. I was like, well, hey, you wanted to shoot tag team porno. This is what you get, Swiney. So that was terrible, right? Yeah. What are you going to do? No. Showbiz. I mean.
Oh, no.
So I couldn't get mad at him.
All the things you never think of. Swiney, you're an AVN. Did not
see that coming.
You're an AVN Hall of Famer. So what are you in the AVN Hall of Fame for?
Well, you got to have at least 10 years in the business. You got to have at least a 10-year run, and you got to, I guess, contribute to porno in a way that's kind of substantial as far as directing or performing or both, right? Or, you know, producing or whatnot. I think I did an equal amount of directing and performing with the top girls for top studios. I knew all the agents. There wasn't any bad stories about me. Like, that doesn't keep you out, because, again, that jerk-off Christian got in. Anyway. But it's about putting your time in and, you know, working for Red Light District, working for Shane's World, working with Vince Voyer at Voyer Media, working with Tommy Byron, you know, working with Mike John for all those years, working with Shane Diesel, I've worked for so many companies, getting nominations. I've had probably 10 best POV sex scene nominations. I've again partnered with Mike. We got a ton of noms for like series and releases, like best big bus series or best Gonzo series, best double penetration sex scene. I remember when we won for the Bobby and Star, Shawn Michaels and Mr. Marcus DP scene and Racial Tension 2. And we were kind of scratching our heads.
Wow.
We were scratching our heads because like Marcus was terrible that day. He was woodless. He barely pulled it off. But you shoot the scene and you chop it together, and you never know how the fans or the reviewers are going to take it. You just got to put it out, man. Sometimes you shoot a great scene, you're like, wow, people are going to love that. And a scene you shot that was really kind of like, mediocre, everyone like goes crazy for it. You can't figure it out. You just got to put it out there.
Yeah.
It's all, we all have our weird, different tastes. Now, you mentioned Shane Diesel. First of all, is that thing as huge as it looks like on camera?
That's pretty gnarly. It's like a football. It's when I was working for gangbangsquad.com, the premise of that was a direct ripoff of Blacks on Blondes. Okay. And it was 4 dudes on a chick. They try to get 4 black guys every time, but just because of money and timing, sometimes we throw a white cat in there. But, like Brian Sherwood, or we throw someone light skinned like Valentino. But okay, so I got to know Shane Diesel from those days because he was brand new back then. And depending on who was in the scene and who was around, sometimes he kind of struggled. And the dude, Andrew, Will Hansen, he pulled me aside one morning. We stopped over there before a scene, or I was doing something, and he goes, "Hey, I talked to you." He's like, "Hey, man, what do you think about the Shane Diesel guy? What do you think about getting rid of him?" I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?" He goes, "Yeah, but he's kind of bombing. He's not great." I'm like, "Okay, you do a 4-on-1 with sometimes you got terrible chicks with dudes that won't shut the fuck up. I mean, when that dude's on, that thing is gnarly. It's like people are almost scared to be in the room with that thing when it's all the way hard, bro. I mean, you cannot give up on that dude because when he's on fire, it's like nothing you'll ever see. You got to stick with him." And so Shane never forgot that because, me and Andrew got into it, as I explained earlier, but me and Shane remained really good friends. And we went out and had dinner a couple months ago, and we're talking about how we've known each other for 16 years now. And he never forgot that. He goes, "Timmy, I remember you went and stuck up for me when he wanted to fire me, and I never forgot that." So I shot with Shane at the start of 2008. I was working for Mike and with Shane when he was with New Sensations. And so we kind of reconnected, and I shot about 4 or 5 movies with him. And again, when that thing is like, when he's into the chick and not afraid he's going to hurt him and they can take it, he's a whole different animal. He's gnarly. He really is a different, I don't know if it's a genetic precursor or if he's a throwback,
Yeah.
But he's a good dude, He's got to have the right chick, and that thing it's like I said, it's like a football. It's like, what do I do with this? Is that going to fit? I mean,
I'm not trained for this.
Yeah.
Maybe you can put in a good word for the Rich Dickman show. Maybe we can talk to him about walking around with that thing. But we have a couple listener questions, Swiney, if you have a few minutes for us. Our questions intern sent these in. What is the wildest scene that you have ever produced or encountered in your time in the industry?
It's actually kind of a broad question over all these years.
Aren't they all? A little wild.
Some more than others. I would say that, when I was in Europe, I had to shoot for Everhard one time. I shot 2 of the Outnumbered scenes for him, 2 or 3. And Outnumbered was a setup where it was kind of reverse gangbangs. It was him and 2 other guys and like 10 or 11 chicks. And those were really hard to do because there's so much going on. It's like either you're sitting too still or you're moving too much. I know that's not really outrageous. That's just more from a work standpoint. It's hard to say what people consider outrageous because, I mean, if you're performing in a scene, when things are good, you just roll with it, man. You kind of walk away scratching your head like, did that just really happen? But
like
that's
improv,
a tough,
right?
Yeah, totally. But that's kind of a tough one to pin down because every scene I guess I could say this. It's not going to say outrageous, but it was somewhat. We were in Europe. It was me, Mike, and Everhard, and we've been there for a long time. And there was a language barrier with some of the girls. And that's why we always tried to have Robert Rosenberg around for as many scenes as possible. So this girl was supposed to do a 3-on-1 where she swallowed all the loads because Mike shot a lot of swallowing scenes. So it's Everhard, Steve Holmes, and Robert Rosenberg. And this girl's on her knees and mouth open, and she's ready to take the loads. and Rosenberg comes in and drops this donkey wad in her mouth, and she's just like pushing it out, like Mike's like, God damn it, I thought she was gonna swallow, and she's just pushing it out, and fucking Holmes goes to pop, and she's pushing it out. He's like, God damn it, his head's rolling around, and we stop for a second. And Rosenberg says something, Fidel coup or some words in Czech. And she's like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll swallow this one. So Holmes is going to do a double pop. He's like, I can pop again. It's no problem. We're like, okay, cool. We're on board now. No more spitting. So Holmes gets ready, drops the second load in there. She spits it up. And I see Mike's head about to roll off his shoulders. He's so mad. And over my left shoulder, because I'm holding the sea light, I hear Everhard say, Mikey, eyeball? And Mike goes, oh, yeah. And so Everhard goes up, and he drops the first just like glob of cum in her left eye, into her right eye.
Sharpshooter.
At the bridge of her nose, like joining. It's like two pools of like nothing but, the white of your eye filling. He just burned her eyes up to get her back for not swallowing the loads. And while that's kind of mean, this chick clearly just ruined the scene, and we still had to pay her. So that's how,
Yeah. Okay. That's like that Lisa Sparks thing when she puts like the goggles on without the lens in it, and there's a whole bunch of dudes finished in the goggles.
Right. Yeah.
It's gross. What would constitute star power in the adult film industry? Is it attitude, sense of adventure? Is it looks? What makes a star a star? My guess is going to be attitude, but what say you, the professional?
What made a star is what set girls apart from the others was, even some of the guys, but mostly for the girls, it was on the gonzo side versus the feature side. On the gonzo side, it was girls that could do it all, right? They had to be really good at anal and DP and group scenes, but also be really good at the one-on-ones. They had to do like interracial, in my opinion. It was better if they did everything and every one. And they just had a different approach to how they carried themselves, right? Now, sometimes you get turned into a star, but sometimes the girls kind of push themselves to be a star, right? Lauren Phoenix, Bobby Starr. Those are two girls that I remember. I really respected how hard their gonzo was, but yet they could act. They could do anything, So to me, it's a combination. You got to be able to back up your performing with your look and your attitude. You can't just be a Ferrari with a 4-cylinder. You got to be able to really perform.
Yeah. Swiney, do you know Rodney Moore?
I've met him a couple times. We've never really hung out much, but I got a lot of respect for him. Kind of starting the POV thing, because I remember Mike always referenced how Rodney influenced him. And when you take, and I'll just make this quick, Rodney kind of started POV, but Mike took it further because in the beginning, Rodney wasn't really shooting stars. It was like he was shooting a lot of the girls that turned him on and just kind of, regular performers. Mike was shooting Mirage, before she changed her name to Brianna Banks, and he was shooting Sunrise Adams, and he was shooting like real hot chicks, both when they were new and once they were stars. Amy Reed, girls like that. Yeah. So I think Mike elevated POV and took it further than it would have gone if he hadn't jumped in.
Rodney opened up my eyes with his I Swallow series, and he introduced me to Darla Crane and Shanna McCullough. So
Okay.
I'll always be grateful to Rodney Moore for that.
Sean McCullough was when I did the Roseanne parody. Sean McCullough was what's his name, Jim Enright's girlfriend, or she was there at the house, and I had never met her before, but I got to talk to her quite a bit that day, over 2 days, and she was great, man. I thought she was really cool. We talked a lot about Dave Hardman, in a good way, because we both really like Dave Hardman. And so I went back and I looked at some of her scenes and I'm like, yeah, Sean McCullough was really hot.
Have you ever met Blake Mitchell, the female?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay. She was somebody who popped up in the 90s, and I was a big fan of hers as well. Eric Everhard, is he I get everybody's names confused because at the end of the day, it's all a penis, right? But is he the guy with the kind of the mop top kind of hair and he was always ready to go, but he kind of had a weird looking face. Or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, I mean, Everhard's my friend. I don't know if he had a weird face, but
I don't mean that insultingly, so I apologize.
No, but let me reference something. When Adam Film World Guide was still around, and they would do their yearly like industry review, and they'd have capsules on performers and directors. Everhard got mad one time because they said his face had puffy rodent-like features.
Yes.
But he was always really, in shape, really, really, his physique was always really, blown up and chiseled. And he'd always say, wow, oh God, wow. But yeah, that's probably who you're talking about. Everhard's one of the most bulletproof, durable, like never fail performers of all time. I mean, he never got enough credit for that. I know some people want a different dynamic to their male performer, but that dude never bombed. If you needed someone to come in and just carry the day, you just hire that dude.
Like I should hit the Google right now and pull up an image so I know what I'm talking about. This guy. So let's see what the image is. You know what? No, that's not the guy I thought it was. So all right, he is a good looking man. All right, he's somebody else. I'm thinking of somebody else. Okay, I'm sorry, Swiney. Please extend my apologies to your good friend Eric Everhard.
You just did. It's okay.
Okay. Was he there with you, or are you all alone?
He's a big fan of the show.
No,
He's a big fan of the show.
He's been living in Europe for about 4 years now, so he's not around anymore.
Oh Jesus, I'm sorry.
We're all broke. Like I said, it was all part of the we all went broke thing, and so he went over to live in Budapest. So. All right. That's where it goes.
So earlier this evening, you mentioned your hate of Pornhub, and can you tell us a little more about why you hate Pornhub? Because I'll tell you, Pornhub is the first stop for a lot of our listeners when they need to get their shit off, right? So why should we not be using Pornhub?
Well, I'm not going to tell you not to use those guys. They're so big now that. What's the point in avoiding them, right? I mean, I don't surf their website unless I'm looking for people that have posted my stuff because that's up there sometimes.
Yeah.
But it was just the way the tube sites were set up. They tried to throw their hands up and say, like, look, these people are submitting all this content. How do we know it's yours? It's like, well, you know it's not fucking yours, and you know that it's not something that guy produced, and well, you got to go through the process of DMCA. So you go through the DMCA process and you pull something down, and you realize there's 4 other fucking versions of the same scene up there with 4 million views. And it's just like, don't play fucking stupid. You guys are allowing people to devalue our content that we paid for. And it's hard to not get very angry because they just tried to play dumb. It's not our fault. No, it was your fault. You allowed people to take our stuff and put it up for free and devalue us across the board over 5 or 6 years to where now no one needed to fucking pay for our stuff ever again. You know what I'm saying? It was ridiculous. And so I mean, I can't
be paying for. Yep.
Yeah, I can't forgive them for that because not only do they make money off of devaluing our product and make their product stronger, they're making money off of the click-throughs that go through to their website and sign-ups. They're making money off of people paying for banner advertising, right? There's all these ways they're profiting off of stuff that we created and paid for legally. And it's like, imagine if you can make money off of NFL Sunday, fucking game day broadcasts. and not have to pay for it, right? There's any number of analogies you can use. And so it's just hard for me to forgive them because porno was so fun. And it wasn't about, I was never really made any money. I've never been rich. I've never been wealthy. But I was able to have a really good time, and I was able to pay people well. And that's all that mattered. And they fucking destroyed that, you know? Sorry. I can't forgive them, you know, and I'm not going to.
No, it's totally understandable.
It's hard to see people like flock to them and work for them. And like, I really like Tony Rebus. I've always been a good friend to him, but you know, he works for some of those people now, and I can't blame that guy for taking a paycheck. But if they offered me a directing gig, I'd say absolutely not. I'd rather blow my fucking hat off my shoulders before I work for those guys. You know?
I hear you. Do you have to work a full-time job, or is this enough to get you through every day?
So I'm not working a regular job now. I'm kind of floundering. I'm kind of close to needing to go back to a regular job. You get burned out sometimes, and then there's summer slowdown, and then like the AC goes out in your truck, and there goes your extra cash because you live in Vegas and it's 112 every day.
Even in the winter.
Yeah, that's, you know, so if I'm real diligent and I keep everything updated and whatnot, I make about, I don't know, between $3,000 and $4,000 a month, and that pays for everything and just keeps me going. But I'm at the real tipping point right now. I got to really be careful at the end of the year here, because if I miss 1 or 2 months of updating, it could cause me to miss payouts, and I'd really be in hot water. So yeah, I'm not making that much, you know.
If Ray and I ever end up in Vegas, can we hang out, or is that too creepy for you? Because we're not creepy dudes. We're really cool.
I'll creep stay, but not creepy. But I don't care. Yeah, sure, we can get a beer. I'm into it.
All right, cool. All right, excellent.
Sweet.
Swiney, this has been enlightening. I don't want to keep you too long, so I really appreciate you coming on to the Rich Dickman Show, our tiny little podcast with, well, I think we're up to 8.25 listeners now, Ray, maybe 8.5. Swiney, how do we find your stuff? How do we partake in your enjoyment of the ladies, the larger, especially? Those are my favorite. But how do we find you on the web, and how do we follow you and all that fun stuff?
The best way to follow me is just my Twitter accounts. The first one is Pork Vendor, just one word, PORKVENDOR. And the other one's T Von Swine, TVONSWINE. The Pork Vendor one is almost 100% porno. It's like very little opinion or anything like that. The T Von Swine Twitter account's way more focused on just where my head's at. You know, sometimes I'll reference music, or I'll throw an opinion. I throw some porno up there, you know, but it's more kind of me, because since that part of my career is basically dead and over with, I can be a lot more liberal with what I do and don't say there. With the Pork Vendor one, I don't want anything negative there, because you got to keep it all porno all the time for the fans. You got to respect them.
Right.
But I have a question for you guys. Ray, who's your favorite BBW right now? Your top 3?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy. I got none of them.
I'm sorry.
I don't like the BBW. Sorry.
I'm sorry. It's Ram that likes the BBWs. My bad.
Yeah, don't talk to Ray. He's an asshole. So
yeah, you don't want.
My top 3. I mean, I love Bella Benz for her enthusiasm. I'm a big fan there. I don't know that Aaron Green performs too much these days, but I was a big fan of Aaron Green as well. And as much as I try not to be a big fan of Eliza Allure, I end up being a big fan of Eliza Allure. And I don't know why I try not to, because I feel like she's kind of all over the place, and maybe I should like somebody who's maybe not well known. But like if I'm searching around looking for something to do, you know, those are the 3 names that pop up immediately to my head. And of course, you've got Maria Moore, who I've been a fan of for years now. I don't know if you ever had any interaction with her. And there is what the hell? I just Sapphire. Her name's Sapphire. At one point it was 38L or something. I was a fan as well. So.
So basically, Rem has enough in his top 3 to cover my lack of a top 3.
Yeah.
He's got way more than 3.
But Ray, who's your top 3 of like regular chicks right now, or even all time?
I'm the wrong guy. I don't watch porn apparently.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Ray, play along for the guests. God damn it.
Oh, it's so tough. I don't actually have names. I don't know the names of any of them because I don't actually do.
Ray doesn't appreciate the art form that
I know.
is
I
pornography.
don't.
He must be a wrestling fan.
I'm a wrestling fan, Mr. Swiney.
Yeah, he is.
I love it all.
Right on. Man,
I write wrestling articles on www.podcast.com. Yeah. So
did Jimmy Snuka do it, or was he innocent?
Who do it? Snuka? Is that what you said? Get out there.
Did he?
Yeah, he probably did it. Like,
I liked him too. When I heard that, it was kind of a bummer because I like Snuka, and the fact that he lost his mind and bludgeoned some chick isn't cool. So
you learn the dark side of wrestling. I don't know if you saw that on Vice, or was it Vice? One of those dark. Yeah, but there's a dark side back, especially back in the 70s and 80s when they were all just pieces of shit in real life. You know. So are you a wrestling fan, Swiney?
A couple times I was into it, like as a kid. You know, it was definitely entertaining and something we all kept our eyes on. And then I had a second knee surgery in '98, and so I was laid up in bed, and by chance I caught into the very beginning of the Raw's War phase and Attitude Era, when you had the New Age Outlaws and Al Snow and all the hardcore matches were coming in, and there was some really, really good stuff back then for like a year and a half. You know, the rise of The Rock and Stone Cold.
It was amazing. It was an amazing time in the world.
You had,
God, I miss those days. Yeah, I've been watching since the mid '80s. I took about a 10-year break from 06 to 16, and now I'm back. I'm back in. I just love. I go to shows in New York City with my buddy Chris OC. You know, we go to the independent shows and stuff. We have lots of fun. So Swiney, what do you think? Can we get you back here in a couple of weeks to talk more shop, or are you kind of sick of us?
Yeah, no, reach out. I'll do it again. No problem. Just more questions, more stories. Why not?
Yeah. My master plan is one day to have one of the models you've worked with on the show, and we can talk to her. But I'm sorry.
DM me who you want to talk to, and I'll put some feelers out, and I'll see if I can get you some girls to talk to.
Oh, no shit. Okay. I will absolutely do that. That was actually, I was making a joke, but since you said that, I will totally follow up on that, and I will be super annoying about it, and we'll never talk again. So,
and I've got some homework to do now. Now I got some videos that I got to start watching. Yeah. A lot of content to burn through here.
Look, the girls need exposure too. They need to be interviewed and talk about their perspectives on stuff. So I think it's a good idea. You know, Bella Benz, Jessica Lust, Lila Lovely, Carla Lane, they're all really, really smart and really horny and fun chicks to be around. So
I'll tell you right now, Swiney, I would love to talk to Bella. So if you have any contact with her, we're really awesome guys. You know, we'll be very respectful.
Don't be too eager, but yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Okay, I appreciate it. God, I wish my old co-host was here tonight. He had to go off and join the Islamic State, but he would have enjoyed this conversation as well. Swiney, thank you so much for coming on to our little podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yes,
and I hope we can talk again in fairly soon.
Okay, man. Thanks for having me on, guys, and keep on rocking and rolling.
We will.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That's our mission in life, is to rock and roll. All right, buddy. Take it easy.
Later.
All right, that was a lot of fun. I hope you had as much fun as I did, because that was fascinating.
More dicks.
Hello, Ray?
Yeah.
What's going on? What are you doing?
Just goofing off.
Just goofing. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
You're fucking up my mojo. Jesus Christ.
Let's do it.
God damn it, Ray, because you're such an asshole, and we're loaded tonight, I'm bringing in a second guest. All right. We had Swiney. Thank you again, Swiney, for coming on. That was fascinating. But we also have tonight from the Thought Cops. It is Officer Grant. Hello, Grant. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for bringing me, the least latest person on in the world, putting me right after the most latest person in the world. Yeah. Thank you for that.
No, it's cool, man.
I can't wait to drag the entire show down.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Grant, so thank you for coming on, buddy. I just had a quick question. I was upstairs, taking a pee break real quick, and I was thinking to myself, Grant, how come nobody has Kevin on? It's always Grant. I see Grant everywhere, but I don't see Kevin out there. Like, what's going on?
Because it's my setup.
Oh, okay.
I'm the one with the microphones. He has no microphones.
All right. So it's basically like me and Ray, except Ray's in California.
Yeah, it's one of the many ways that I'm better than him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very cool. Very cool.
You're the puppet master.
So, Grant, thanks for coming on once again, and we'll talk about the thought cops in a second. I don't want to forget that, but I had a little bird in my ear earlier today, and I was thinking, what am I going to ask Grant?
You should go to an ENT.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This little bird said that Grant does not watch pornography, and we just had a porn producer on, and apparently Ray doesn't watch pornography either. Mm-mm. All right, so what's going on, Grant? We don't watch pornography? Is that true, or is somebody lying to me?
No, I mean it's been a thing. It's been more of sort of like a self-controlled sort of get under control of my compulsive behavior sort of thing. Okay. As a person who has a cyclical issue with depression and relying on certain things as crutches in my life, sort of going like, hey, why am I doing these things that are sort of making me more, inherently more antisocial and more just sort of, in this den of my own fucking sloth and of my own creation. Why don't I stop sort of partaking in some of these things that, are sort of just not making me happy in that sort of a sense. Not to drag the show down.
Asking the question. I'm sorry, but that's exactly.
I told you.
My cutting sugar out of my diet, so I understand.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Grant.
I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to eat healthier. I'm currently training for a marathon. I'm doing a lot of stuff that I feel like, is hopefully helping me maybe not be a happier person, but be a more experienced person, per se.
Right. What goes into training for a marathon?
A lot of running.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, do you actually do a lot of the, like, slow days, longer days, short, like, speed days? Do you mix it up a lot, or you just put in miles?
I wasn't for a while. I was doing what's more or less called base building, which is just like slowly build up, run real slow, get your body to sort of tolerate that, because I've been lifting for like 2.5 years. So since high school, I've gotten significantly bigger. I used to be like 170, 180 in high school. I'm now up to about 225. So that's a lot of wear and tear on your fucking joints to be that heavy and to run 26 miles. So much has been just like run 12 or 14 minute miles and just see how far you can get and just slowly build up. But I've been, following a short sort of program, cause I got a month left right now. And so it sort of has staggered days. Like this week's supposed to be 5 miles, 10 miles, another 5 miles, and then 20 miles. And I just sort of take my time with it. I don't do like slow days or fast days or whatever.
That's good. Well, so I did, like, growing up, going through high school
running
stuff.
Talk. God damn it.
I know. Did a lot of running. But what happened is, like, so my mind still thinks I can run really fast. So when I go running, I'm like running way too hard. And then you run for a few days, a week, couple of weeks, and then things start really hurting. Yeah. So that's why I was like, yeah, cause it'd be fun to do some longer stuff. But yeah, it is one of those, like, it's good to take the smart approach and take it safe and actually just be able to continue to do it.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing. I would go too fast and just my knees would start fucking hurting, and you have to,
Hey, Grant, what?
Here, I got some more running stuff to talk about. Do you ever do this where, like, so I live, this is awesome. So I do this thing where, like, I go running, and these goddamn farmers out here, they need to put up signs that say, when they put out the little bee boxes, they gotta fucking tell you. So I'll be running along by this orchard, turn the corner, next thing I know, bee city. And I'm like getting stung and shit. Like, you ever experiencing that stuff, or like mountain lions?
No, I live in Chicago. There's no bees and there's no mountain lions.
The fuck?
I gotta fend off like a homeless guy or two every once in a while, but that's about it.
Avoid the gunfire.
There you
Chicago.
go.
Yeah, just duck.
Grant,
See, that's good
what
stuff right there.
marathon are you training for?
The Chicago Marathon.
And when is that?
Good stuff, man.
October 13th.
Okay, so producer Ryan, a member of our show here, he is training for the New York City Marathon, and I believe that's the first week of November. Because I might, Ray, go down to New York City that day and just go like drinking with Uber driver Chris, and see how that ends up. Like I don't give a shit about the marathon and producer Ryan and all the effort he's putting into it. I just want to go for the content. But anyways, that's awesome, Grant. I'm very proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
For running and doing all that stuff.
You know what you got to do. Here's a pro tip. You get a couple buddies, every 3 to 5 miles, and you know how they have the little the hydration stations.
Just get a bunch of friends that look like me. Tag team in.
So, yeah, there you go. They're wearing the same outfit. No, but your friends, they basically stagger themselves in between those, but they have like beer. Just to get beer in the cups, and then it'll be such a good. That's not
a good idea.
Terrible.
Yeah,
that's not a good idea. Ray, what's the matter with you? Come on,
you
should be training for a marathon
idea
as well.
I am right now.
All right, Grant, can you please tell the 8.5 people in my audience about Thought Cops and what you guys do every week?
Yeah. So it's just a weekly podcast about internet outrage culture, cancel culture. All that stuff, just sort of like a basic weekly news report on all things outrage. And we have a number of guests on that bring their own flair to the show, bring their own experience and expertise onto the show. One of our last guests we had on last week was Jack Allison, who's written for the Jimmy Kimmel Show and like the 2015 and 2016 Academy Awards and like a lot of that stuff.
Wow.
And
look at you guys getting real guests.
Yeah. And to have someone, like him who's had experience within the Hollywood industry talk about like Hollywood and stuff like that and have this insight into a lot of stuff that we're talking about. We get a lot of different people on that sort of, give their own version of, these news stories we see everyone talking about on Twitter and on Facebook and all that. You get different versions of that like every week because we have a different guest on every week. So.
Oh God, I had a question and I forgot. Oh, there it is. I remember now. So this episode will very likely release before your next episode does. So can we get a preview of some of the rage things, the outrage in the internet that you talk about?
Yeah, we keep a Google Drive, so let me or a Google Doc, I should say, that's placed on a Google Drive, and this is how we keep track of the show. So let me pull that up real quick.
Okay, we use a Google Drive, a Google Doc as well, and we just add notes. And while we're doing a show, we talk to each other
professional
through the Google Doc. Ray says, "Hey, it's time for listener questions." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. I was having a good time talking to the porno producer."
Yeah,
I got carried away.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple examples. One is this fashion designer made a bunch of hoodies that where they have the names of schools that have been shot up, and then they have bullet holes.
Yeah. That's right. I saw that.
Like one of them's Columbine, the other one's Sandy Hook.
So morbid.
Yeah. I'm in Sandy Hook State. So this is the thing. Jesus.
I don't know. We do very poorly. Our research team is not well paid, and also it's just us. Founded by the brand Dystopia Inspired. I don't know who the fuck designed this shit, but people are upset about it. We also talked a lot about the Shane Gillis on SNL. I think that took up a majority of the conversation. Yep. If you guys are familiar with that story.
Did you see the bit they did a few years ago where Shane Gillis was a firefighter and he rescued a family, but the reporter brought up a potentially racist thing he might have said years before that, and then he got fired for being a firefighter? No,
wait,
you
what?
Didn't see that?
No,
Oh,
I didn't.
No, there was a bit that he was a part of, like a little skit, a comedy skit they did, where he was a firefighter and he rescued a family, and the reporter was only interested in him in his fantasy football draft a few years ago, where he may have used, some language that may have been offensive. And then at the end of the bit, when the gentleman that he rescued came up to Shane Gillis's character and said, "Thank you so much for rescuing me," the reporter says, "Did you know he's a racist?" And then the guy's like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck?" And it's basically where we're at as a society these days. Yeah.
This is some fucking Nostradamus shit, man.
A couple more years, we'll get past this, but Jesus, it fucking sucks. All right. So, and Thought Cops releases every Tuesday.
We try to, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah. I think many reasons, but one of the reasons I can't get on the See You Next Tuesday network is because we release Saturdays at midnight. We want to be different.
Who cares when you it's a podcast. It goes into people's feeds and that's it.
I understand.
You open up Spotify one day and it's like, there it is. And then you listen to it. And that's it.
Spotify. Fucking fancy.
Oh, that's how I listen to podcasts.
Fuck. All right. So Grant, we have you here. We have a few more bits to do for the show. All right. The first one, Ray takes great pride in this one because he invented it, but I got to play a sound here. And it's I love my butt. So Ray, what are we loving today, butt?
I love my 4K TV,
yeah,
but it completely ruins 1080p anything.
Okay.
Like as soon as you turn on something in 1080p, you literally are like, I hate myself and I quit life.
Why? Like, I don't understand.
Because it looks like shit. Like have you ever seen the 4K TV?
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way with this, Ray. Doing it again. We're going to rhyme your fucking name all night. Wow. I tried watching The Boys on Amazon Prime, right? And I just got a new television this past Christmas. I got a 55-inch Samsung curved screen, 4K UHD, all that other bullshit, right? It's nice. I love my TV. It's beautiful, right? But The Boys is you can get it, you can watch it in Amazon Prime Ultra High Def in 4K, which is cool. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to watch a 4K show. This is going to be great. And then the show comes on and I'm watching it. Now, you have to understand, I use a Bluetooth speaker when I'm watching TV at night because God forbid I wake up my kids or my wife or any of that stuff, right? So I have to use a little speaker next to me. Now, the 4K, because it's taken so long to process, doesn't sync the audio with my external speaker. All right. So that's problem number one. And that's maybe something I can work on. I can fix in post-production at some point, right? But, I'm looking at the television screen and it looks too good, Ray. It looks too good for what I'm watching. I'm like, wait a second. These all look like robots and dummies and weird. This is all weird to me. This doesn't look like real life. This is just like, it's too good and I'm freaked out right now. This is freaking me out. Grant, where do you fall on this?
I have just like a normal TV. I don't even know what kind of TV I have.
I'm
a very unsophisticated, fucking.
It's like 100 pounds, 35
I'm a
inch.
fucking caveman. I got like a Hisense smart TV or some shit like that. It's fine. It works. I don't know.
It works. Okay.
I'm not a technology person.
No, that's okay. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be to agree with me. But when the things you watch on television look too good, you kind of get taken out of the moment and you're just looking around. It's like, oh man, these wax figures moving on my screen is just really weird. It's kind of,
there is that little bit of like, I don't like, you're in the room with them sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
it's jarring. Like really good TV, resolution versus like okay TV resolution is like the okay TV resolution is TV. The really good TV resolution is like, why are these people in my house?
Yeah, exactly. Give me the freaking CRT televisions, right? Where we didn't know the difference. Because I got Star Wars The Force Awakens on Blu-ray several years ago, right? And I put that thing in with my son. It was gonna be great. We're gonna watch Star Wars The Force Awakens together again after we saw it in the theaters. And everything's gonna be great. And we're gonna have a good time watching that movie. And I plugged it in and we're watching and I'm like, holy shit, wait a second. This looks this looks weird. What is missing? What's going on here? For not 1 second did I enjoy any part of that movie because I was too fixated on these people who looked like they were in my goddamn living room. Like, what the fuck are we doing? This is not a movie experience. I'm not watching Star Wars to feel like I can touch Rey. I just want to watch Star Wars.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And you start noticing like weird fucking things. Like I can see their makeup on their faces, and I can see like I can tell that that's plastic armor that they're wearing. Like it's supposed to look like metal or whatever, but like the way that it looks, I can feel like the tactility of it, and I don't like it. It just it's jarring. It's better resolution than my eyes. My eyes don't work that good. This looks better than my own vision. Yeah.
I don't need to be RoboCop, right? In the movie theater, it looked amazing and I was enthralled and it was great. I bring it home, like I'm just distracted by everything. The CGI looks terrible. All the motion looks horrible because it's just too smooth. So what are we doing? What are we doing? As we try to get better, we're ruining everything that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, Ray.
I love this. Old man Rem strikes again. I'm waiting for you to say, "Get off my lawn."
Right, you need to get off my lawn, you bitch ass motherfucker with your shitty problems. This is first world. These people would love to have a 1080p television outside of this country, Ray.
They would love a 4K television even more.
Okay, 4K is cool when you're watching the demo at Circuit City. Well, they don't have Circuit City anymore. When you're watching the demo at PC Richards and Son. Okay. When you have all the flowers and the bees and shit and like the nature programming they have to demo the TV, say, hey, look how great this looks. Yeah, it's amazing. But when you get a movie, and even Tom Cruise had to come out and say, hey, everybody, if you're watching this movie, make sure you turn motion scan off so you can watch the movie as it was meant to be seen. You guys remember this? I think this was last year.
I don't follow the shit because again I'm a caveman, but I do sort of know what you're talking about because you have that like weird little like frame rate differential, right? Something like that where it's like you see more frames than even exist, and it starts to look like slower, but it's happening at the same time, and your eyes are like, how is this happening? What universe am I in?
The world we live in now, Grant, is that, our brains were never meant for this world with all this information, with all the social media, with all the 4K and 240 resolution or hertz per second or some of this other bullshit, whatever they want to call it. We're not built for this. We're not evolved enough to process this. So we don't need it.
You need to upgrade to 8K.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, Ray. Thanks a lot. Oh boy. All right. Here, let's go to the meat. Let's meet the show. Grant, don't worry about our bumpers. They're fun. And Ray actually gets paid every time we play these, so I have to. It's in his contract.
So much monies.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce this week's finalists for Dick of the Week. And here's our first nominee.
All right. Hey, Grant, you can hear that okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So the first one is a voicemail. Hot Drummer News Babe has called in once again with a story for us. And here at Grant, we listen to or read, or you'll tell us a couple stories. We'll talk about who's acting like an asshole out there in the real world, and we'll vote on who is actually the Dick of the Week. We don't have anything from Svensson this week because, I don't know, Svensson decided, Ray, that he wants to work 66 hours as opposed to email us a Dick of the Week voicemail. So,
priorities, Svensson. Priorities.
Fucking wage cock.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you. All right. Let's see what Hot Drummer Newspaper has to say.
Earn a living.
Hey, people. So the sound on this might suck, so sorry in advance, but I have a little contender here, continuing our streak in naked people doing stupid shit. So, hang on, let me just wake it up on my handy-dandy phone here. Okay. And surprise, it's a story out of Florida. Deputies report couple had sex in patrol car after arrest. Authorities say a man and woman who were stopped for drunken bicycling in a Florida beach town had sex in a deputy's patrol car before one of them fled naked. Nassau County Sheriff's Office deputies last Friday arrested Aaron Thomas and Megan Mondanaro. Both face charges of resisting arrest with violence, committing a lascivious act, and exposing sexual organs. I love that.
Holy shit. They were having sex in the police car? Is that what she said? Like they got arrested and started having sex in the car?
I'm so confused. They were having, did they say naked bicycling? And then they were like
drunken
moved to sex in the car?
Yeah, and they started fucking in the car. Okay, let's see what else she has to say.
Or lascivious.
Amazing.
Anyway, the Florida Times-Union reports a deputy was patrolling Fernandina Beach when he spotted the bicyclists almost get hit by a car. Oh. An arrest report says that after they were put into the squad car to await being taken to jail, they took off their clothes and started having sex. A naked Thomas was removed from the cruiser but fled. He was later captured. So there you have it. I don't know who the biggest dick of them all is, but good Lord, Florida, get it together. Anyway, have a great rest of your show. Bye.
Thank you, HDNB. Wow. So a couple in Florida got arrested and then proceeded to have sexual relations in the police car. I mean, that's got to be a bucket list thing, right? Right, Grant?
Yeah. Can I comment on the Florida thing real fast? Because someone was enlightening me on the like why you always see news about Florida Man, and there's something about the laws in Florida and how they're allowed to, anytime someone gets arrested for anything, like you see everything that anyone's done, and there's a bunch of weird shit, but it's like that weird shit's happening in other states. The news just isn't legally allowed to report on some of it.
Oh.
So, okay. Yeah, that's what some random guy told me, and I choose to believe him.
I would prefer your random guy didn't knock down some of my Florida hate.
Yeah.
But okay.
I mean, you can still hate Florida. I certainly do.
All right. We've got this is from Newsweek. And Ray is very impressed when I get drunk and I'm able to read, so bear with me here. But a massive semen explosion. Oh, what the fuck just happened? Okay, a massive semen explosion after a blaze.
A massive semen explosion just happened.
Yeah, hits Bull Artificial Insemination Facility. Firefighters are forced to dodge projectiles. This is from Newsweek by Ewan Palmer.
Projectiles.
A huge fire at a cattle breeding facility in Australia, of course, has caused thousands of dollars in damage after at least 100 cylinders containing bull semen were destroyed. Emergency services were called to the blaze in the early hours at Yarram Herd Services in Gippsland, Victoria. According to ABC, it took 10 fire crews more than 2 hours to fully extinguish the fire after it broke out around 3 a.m. local time. A spokesman from the County Fire Authority told the Daily Mail in Australia that the fire had completely shredded the building. I wonder how much Maddie had to do with this, Ray, but the actual cylinders were worth between $500 and $1,000 per unit, but the semen inside them varies in price. We're coming into the artificial insemination season, so there would have been substantial amounts of semen inside the tanks that we've lost, which was owned by our local farmers, and it can range in value from $5 per straw to $95 per straw. That is Chairman Yarman Herd Services Committee Vice Chairman Aaron Thomas. Thomas said the farmers also have lost a lot of equipment as a result of the fire. So this is significant damage and is going to have a flow-on effect on Yarram, especially after the drought the Yarram district has experienced over the last 12 months. I'm gonna go ahead and nominate God as Dick of the Week here, because we don't have any reason why this thing exploded, but it's going to affect a bunch of farmers and possibly cows getting pregnant.
I disagree with your assessment. I think science should be nominated, because don't you think science has gone too far?
In artificially inseminating cows with bulls?
Yeah, they got these giant fucking tank. I didn't know that they have like giant warehouses of bull semen like just hanging out. I didn't know this was a thing.
You know, bull semen is everywhere, man. I mean, don't knock it until you try it. I mean, how do you think you can't have one prize bull go on about his business and inseminate 1,000 cows? I mean, he just can't do that himself. He's got to have a little bit of help. So some sexy lady comes along and jacks off the bull and freezes his sperm twice a day, every day for 6 months. And you have 360 amounts of bull semen that you inseminate cows with. Somebody help me out here, because I'm going to go on forever talking about bulls getting jacked off.
What? Yeah, what interests me is it said that the value of a straw ranges from $5 to $95 each.
Yeah.
So
why the difference?
No. If you were gonna sell your semen, would you think it would be where between $5 and $95 per straw? Do you think you would land?
Is that our limit? It's anywhere between $5 and $95. All right, Grant, where does your semen land?
Well,
how much is your semen worth?
How are we ranking this? Because when you go to a sperm donation bank, they have those they give you these tests that's like, how much money do you make? Do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you do this? Is your face perfectly symmetrical? Are you are you fat as shit? Are you a good person? Are you a sociopath? All this stuff. Like, I think I'm a pretty good person, but who am I to say? Maybe I'd fall somewhere in the middle. I don't know.
I think you underestimate and undervalue yourself, Grant. You're a personal trainer. You're very fit. I've seen your face on camera when you're eating Totino's pizza rolls.
I did do that, yeah.
Yes, you did. So I think
but maybe those pizza rolls count against me. I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't take the time to do the math.
Your willingness to eat, what was it, 130? What did you get up to?
123.
123. Your willingness to eat.
That shows some dedication.
Yeah. 123 Totino's pizza rolls on a live stream. It shows a lot to your character. So I think, I'm guessing your sperm would be valued probably in the $80 to $85 range.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would agree with that.
Ray, on the other hand, who is very picky about the women that he sleeps with. And yes. He started out the show by contributing a lot, and then all of a sudden he's fallen into the pool of not doing shit because he claims he's busy all the time. I think Ray's semen is in the $10 to $15 range.
That's interesting.
Ray, did you update the website yet, you motherfucker? I was just listening to that episode today. Did you put the YouTube link on there?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. All right. So maybe we're going down to $7 per ounce of semen.
But I did go to an appraiser of my semen, and you're very wrong.
Oh, what did your appraiser say?
They were going to pay me. Yeah, it's $75 per straw. That's what the appraiser says.
You know what? That's California prices.
It's an extensive testing process.
That's not real world. That's California prices.
They're inflated by California prices.
It's California. Like, on the other hand, it's me. I've been podcasting since 2012. Ray, I've helped a lot of people. I've produced great bits along the way, original content. I've broken ground. I've broken barriers, right? I've brought people together. I'm probably in the $60 range. So, it's all good.
I'm pretty sure if you're a podcaster or a gamer, that counts negative against you. I think that's how that works.
Yeah. That's why I'm not at the $95 range. Nobody
fair
wants
enough.
this shit. Yeah. Hey, Grant, what do you have for a Dick of the Week nomination? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I don't know if this is like within the realm of, cause you guys seem to have like specific news stories, and I guess I have more of like a Twitter trending thing, but it's a Twitter trending thing that keeps happening, and that makes me more and more aggravated every time I see it.
Go for it, man.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro. Just everything he does, everything he says, it's all bad. And I mean, I want to come at it from the point of view of like a good faith sort of attack on him, because I have listened to a pretty good amount of him talking, by choice and not by choice, both doing the show and outside the show. And it's like, you should listen to people, you should hear people out. But he says stupid things like rap music isn't technically real music because my dad said so, because there's no harmony in there. It's all just rhythm. And it's like, rap is that's like the style of singing that they're doing. It's called hip hop. Hip hop has fucking rhythm and harmonies and melodies and shit like that. Like, you just say you don't like black people. Just say it.
Right.
He says all these other things about how they can't fucking like bend their caps or whatever the fuck. Just shut the fuck up. It's music.
Grant, can I tell you a story real quick? When I was in fourth grade, was it fourth grade? Fourth or third grade?
You went to fourth grade with Ben Shapiro?
No, absolutely. No, I did not. But we had a music teacher. I was in music class, and he was talking about styles of music. And there was a black girl in my class with me, and I thought I would be really cool. And I'd say, "Hey, teacher, what about rap music? What would that be classified as?" Right? And I get it. I was 3rd or 4th grade, so I didn't ask in that exact way. But I was asking about rap music. What would it be classified as? And he said, "Well, rap is more like talking." And I thought I was doing a favor to the black girl in the class to bring some recognition to the rap music and the rap community. You know, that's me being total racist right there. Maybe she didn't like rap music, but I wanted what he thought what rap music was, and he said it was just talking with music in the background. So maybe Ben Shapiro's dad was my music teacher.
I mean, maybe. And I mean, like I said, it doesn't fucking end there. You know, there's every once in a while I'll see his name pop up on Twitter and I'm like, oh boy, what is it this time? And I mean, I think there's some things that he is smart and well spoken on. And like every time he says something like fucking Homer Simpson level fucking stupid, I'm just like, at a certain point, when do you just stop fucking talking? He has that thing that he said a couple months ago where he was like, well, I think that, it resurfaced a couple months ago, but he said it a couple of years ago along the lines of like, I think global warming probably is happening, but it's not as big of a problem because if people in coastal homes, if their homes get destroyed, they can just sell their house and leave. And it's like, you can't sell your house if it got destroyed by the ocean. Yeah. Like that level of just like, did you think about it before you said it? Or do the words just come out too fucking fast?
Yeah. The reason I don't like Ben Shapiro, and if you've listened to the show, you know that Chris O.C. has some very strong principles, right? But Ben Shapiro's podcast is like the only conservative podcast that Chris O.C. will listen to. And so I know it's not good. I know his opinions are shitty because Chris O.C. wouldn't be listening to it if this guy was actually speaking to things that I may or may not believe in. But yeah. I know that Ben Shapiro's an asshole simply because he has appeal to Chris O.C. And Chris O.C. only listens because that's where he's getting his conservative point of view from, you know, to make him a well-rounded individual. So fuck Ben Shapiro. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I know another guy who gets all of his news from only Ben Shapiro, and it's just like, you gotta fucking you get the same thing on the opposite side when you had all the the liberal teenagers and young adults who were like, I only get my news from Jon Stewart, and it's like, that's not any better. Like,
that's not really
you can't just get it all from like one person. It's not news from Ben Shapiro either. It's just a fucking nasally voiced idiot who fucking has an agenda that he wants to shove down his throat. But it's like, seek out other agendas, seek out whatever. Like, you don't have to only listen to one guy.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, just like go to Twitter and you'll get all the right information.
Don't go to Twitter for news. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ray. Don't go to Twitter.
And then you're good to go.
Let's just ignore news for the next 6 years till news goes out of business, and we only have good news people like Hot Drummer News Babe who are giving us.
Yeah, there we go.
So, Ray, do you have any?
When we run the country, we'll nominate her for put her in a position of news.
I'll just make her
news person.
I'll make her the fucking president, man. I love Hot Drummer News Babe. Hot Drummer News Babe. Idea. Hey, by the way, we haven't seen each other since January. We should hang out, right?
What?
And I would love to do like podcasting with you in person. I know your husband would probably get weird about that. My wife would get weird about that as well. I understand, but we should hang out like we used to, because we used to be really good friends. We used to have a band together. Right? I should stop drinking whiskey when I record these podcasts. That's what I should do. And I'll probably edit some of that out. No. Ray, do you have a nomination for Dick of the Week?
I do not. Nope.
Okay.
Just whatever we've got here.
All right. So we've got the naked people having sex in a police car in Florida. We've got the semen explosion. I don't know who to blame that on, but Grant says we should blame it on science. So sure.
It's gone too far.
And then, we have Ben Shapiro. So let's think about that. We're going to play the bumper here. And we're going to get our Dick of the Week.
After much deliberation, the incredibly handsome expert judges have come to the consensus that
Grant.
This week's Dick of the Week award goes to...
Oh, God, I got to go with Florida people. Like, who has sex in the back of a police car?
They did.
They did. I would absolutely have to go with science. Because you're absolutely right.
No.
It has gone too far. There's no reason to have 100 cylinders of this stuff cryogenically frozen. Like, what in the world is going on, people?
It's a lot of bull semen. Grant, what are you thinking? Are you sticking with Ben Shapiro?
I'm gonna go Ben Shapiro because I think I'm
God.
persuasive. I think I had good arguments. I think I represented myself well, and I think that he's trash.
Okay. All right. Well, so it's going to be up to me to change my vote, of which I will do. Because you know what? You know, when you think about it, yeah, on the surface, having sex in the black back of a police car, it may seem like a dick of the week move, but it may be a bucket list type thing. You know, they may be fulfilling a fetish or fantasy, so I can't really fault them aside from living in Florida.
Don't
so
kink shame them.
Yeah, I won't. I don't shame anybody because I love all people and all the things they do. We have technology versus Ben Shapiro. And you know what, Ray? I'm sorry, buddy. I'm going to go Ben Shapiro simply because Chris O.C. listens to that podcast. Yeah. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize. You know.
All right. I'm going to go Ben Shapiro. So Ben Shapiro's Dick of the Week this week. Thank you. Thank you, Grant. See, look, you came to the show and you got a Dick of the Week win. Good for you, buddy.
Yes, I can't wait to hang it on my wall.
You should.
Yeah, screw you, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Where's my bumper list? Here it is. This is, this one.
This is a bumper for the Dick Tips segment.
Because Ray wanted an excuse to make his voice sound cool.
See, he gets paid for these.
Himself in the third person.
Did you believe you join a podcast, you get invited on, right? And you're like, hey man, would you like to join my podcast? You're like, yeah, I'll absolutely join your podcast. And then all of a sudden you go out of your way, you make a couple bumpers and you get it into your contract that you'll get paid a certain amount of money every time the bumpers play. Like fucking Ray has Rich Dickman like bent over a bench and it's just fucking him,
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom,
Pretty
just
much,
fucking him.
yeah.
All right. So we have,
Oh my God, dude, I am so rich now.
yeah,
I'm so wealthy.
yeah. Ray, can you read this for me, buddy? This is too much whiskey. God damn it, I did it again. Fuck me.
So Jason writes in, I was inspired by your spicy wing eating video.
Thank you, Jason.
And it was very nice of him to say that. And would like to know if you have any tips for surviving spicy food. Normally, I sweat profusely and cry uncontrollably. Any help is appreciated.
Grant, did you see?
Sounds like he needs help.
Did you see our spicy wing
food.
challenge video?
Grant? I did not know.
No, okay. It's
Sounds
on YouTube.
interesting.
You go to, yeah, it is. We had a lot of fun. We recorded on our a video where we ate the Buffalo Wild Wings spiciest wings. Right. And it was a good time. Thank you, Cody, again, at Cody McCann from the Roast Mortem Cast for putting that together for us. But you can go to the YouTube channel. I don't know what the YouTube address is, but if you search Rich Dickman, it'll pop up the Spicy Wing Challenge. Okay. So we ate a bunch of spicy wings and Jason wants to know if we have any tips for surviving spicy food. And Jason, my tip to you is you got to build up to it, man. You got to build up to it. You can't just go right in to a bunch of spicy food and expect to be successful. It doesn't work that way. All right. I had about 2 years ago, Chris O.C. he didn't introduce me. He shamed me into trying spicy food. Okay. Cause I try to avoid spicy food, right? Every once in a while I get a little uncomfortable. I would maybe tear up a little bit when I had some spicy. So I stayed away from it because I didn't want to show how unmanly I was. Well, Chris O.C. shamed me. And so I got into like sriracha and chili garlic and spicy oil and chili oil and all this other stuff that I started, and spicy hot pot. And I started making like spicy food and building my tolerance to it. And even though I built my tolerance to enjoy spicy food, Jason, I had a hard time with those spicy wings because they were a little too spicy for me. So my advice to you, sir, is that you have to start slow. All right. Start with mild. Okay. And then move to medium salsa and then move to hot salsa. Okay. And once you get to hot salsa, start adding like fucking, Tabasco or Frank's Red Hot onto your food, onto your chicken wings and all that other shit. And build that slowly. You'll get there. It's going to take time though. It's going to take time to build your tolerance to spicy food. Grant, what do you think about spicy food? Are you a fan?
Yeah, I've had the what's the hottest one? Blazin' at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yes, that's what we had. Yes,
I've had that. Here's my take on the whole thing. Like what's so bad about pain? You know, it's just
makes you stronger.
Nerve. Yeah, it makes you strong. I feel like I'm treading down the road to a Charles Manson quote, but
okay.
you know, in general though, it's like just if you want to do it, just do it. Just deal with just think about how it's just nerve endings, it's just eliciting a response. It goes away.
One way or the other.
Kill you.
You either numb the nerves or it goes away. One of the way or the other. It's not going to last forever.
It's a mindset,
that old phrase.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Pain is temporary. Pride is forever.
There you go.
So you got to just suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah. What's your advice, Ray? Do you have advice for Jason?
But before you do that, right after you eat that, the first step, put some toilet paper in the freezer for the next day. What? That's step number 1. Step number 2.
Oh, you're talking about shitting. Okay.
Step number 2 would be, don't be a baby. Just,
don't be a bitch.
It only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the thing too. I mean, I don't know if anyone should even take your advice, Ray. You only ate like 2 of those things. It's not like actually
they're hot, Ray.
Ate that many of them.
They're hot.
Yeah. I know. So I went to Buffalo Wild Wings after that. I didn't get those ones. I got the, whatever was the next step down. Because my wife wanted to eat something too.
Like the wild.
So.
Is that?
Yeah, something like that. But like my wife ate like 5 of them. Like, I mean, come on, man. My wife's.
Ray, this isn't a question about me, Ray. Okay, I don't know why you're singling me out here. This was my idea. I tried it. I did the best I could. Okay, I tried,
and it was entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking asshole.
But yeah, I mean, really, you just gotta suck it up. Now, I will say there's certain things you don't want to do, which is like the weird breathing where it just makes it hotter on your tongue, or like. Water doesn't really help, right? You gotta get a neutralizer, get your milk or something like that. But I mean, other than that, just don't be a baby.
Don't be a baby. That's I guess it's advice for life. All right. And Grant, do you have anything to add to that, or we all?
No, just do it and deal with the consequences.
Okay.
Like anything else, just do it. If you want to do it. Doesn't matter. You spending the time thinking about it is already too much time thinking about it. Just do it. And then you're like, oh, well, I guess that wasn't that bad. And then that's it. That's life, I guess.
Asking for forgiveness from your asshole is a lot easier than asking for permission. Yeah.
Sure.
Slow burn.
Yeah, that's that common phrase.
All right. So Mr. Porno Man sent us a review here. Ray, I think I'm going to hold on to this next week because we've been doing this a little too long.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. So Grant, I don't expect that you listened
porn for one episode.
Yeah, we did. But Grant, I don't expect that you listened to any of our episodes in the past, but last week we happened upon a new genre of pornography, and it was climate change porn, and our lives are forever changed. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be discussing Mr. Porno Man's email that he sent us in response to climate change porn and our proposal for such. But
what a cliffhanger!
Tonight, I think. Yeah, tune in.
Yeah,
tune in next week. All right, Grant, tell us about Thought Cops, how we can find the show, how we can find you, and where we can get more of that those sweet and sexy Chicago tones.
Right. So thoughtcopspodcast.com. That's the main website. Patreon.com/thoughtcops. On Twitter and Instagram at Real Thought Cops. I think on Twitter I'm just at Grant Mooney. Facebook.com/thoughtcops. YouTube.com/channel/thoughtcops maybe, or just fucking search it. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea what ours is either.
Twitch.tv/thoughtcops. Subscribe to all of those. Yeah. It's been a slow accumulation of just fucking junk.
Yeah. Will you come back on the show and we can talk about like personal trainer stories and maybe sexy personal trainer stories? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there's none of those, unfortunately.
Muscly ladies.
Well, you can.
They do exist.
Yo, I like the fat
this
ladies.
This podcast is turning into a Rem's wet dream.
It really is.
It's just literally like wrestling.
I tell you,
BBW porn.
Once I got rid of Huel
guys
Ray,
training
I've been able to just like expand my wings
just do
and
whatever
fly.
you want.
It was Huel who held me back.
I'm an enabler.
Yeah, you really are.
That's what it is.
You're a fucking asshole. Ray, how do we find you on the World Wide Webs?
So you've been there, done that. If you really want to find me, get on Tinder, and you will find me trolling people as Brittany.
You got to bring some more Tinder updates.
Yeah, I got to go get back on Tinder.
Yeah,
we're lacking Tinder content.
I've got something here from Jessica that's not complete yet. So, Jessica, get your shit in. All right. So, we didn't do this at the beginning of the show, ladies and gentlemen, but thank you for listening. RichDickman.com for all your Rich Dickman needs. Go to Amazon.com, search Rich Dickman, get yourself a t-shirt, or go to RichDickman.com, click merchandise, and you can find one of our t-shirts. You have the slightly better than mediocre t-shirt. There is the El Abogado Attorney at Law tribute to Huell Hauser t-shirt. And of course, there is the Eat the Rich t-shirt. Go ahead. When you go into a protest, whether it's Antifa or Proud Boys or whatever it is, wear your Eat the Rich t-shirt and show everybody how you really feel. Because when you think about it, we really got to change things, man. We really got to change the corrupt fuckers who are on top of the world and just laughing at us as we fight each other over pronouns and nonsense. Okay, the real issue here, ladies and gentlemen, is the people who just don't get voted out of office. Vote out your incumbents. Eat the rich. I'm sorry. What the hell am I doing right now, Ray? I'm very sorry about that. At Rich Dickman Show on Twitter. Content. Yes. Thank you, Swiney, for joining us again. Thank you, Grant, for coming on and hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
The show. RichDickmanShow@gmail.com. If you would like to send us an email, and you can call the Dickman line, 860-316-4776, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail. Follow producer Ryan on Twitter at RyanTRDS. We are at Rich Dickman Show. I may have said that already, but I forget if we did or not. Follow my mother at Rem_Mama, and you can follow me, of course, at Rem Dickman. That is my real name. All right. Don't dox me, bro, but that's who I am. And of course, you got producer, you know what? I'm going to give him a producer credit. Producer Randy, Ray, producer Randy at Sir Zero.
Oh, nice.
With an E. He's helping us out. All right. So next week, we're going to have a normal show. Just to give you guys a heads up, next week's will be a normal show. Hopefully we have a big guest, but I'm not going to make that announcement yet. Riley's working on that for us. But the week after that, we're going to maybe do a best of, all right? Because old Rem here needs to take a week off for personal issues. And then we'll be back at it after that as well. Grant, if you're ever out on the East Coast, hit me up, bro. Hit me up. We'll hang out. All right. If you're ever doing a show with the Stereos, whatever it is, come on out.
Yeah, we would certainly like to.
Yeah. I only have you on just to get me involved, bro. No hard feelings.
Sure. It's called networking.
That's right. That's exactly it. No, I'm just kidding, man. I think you're cool. I like your style, brother. And so I appreciate you coming on. I'd love to have you back. And again, like I said, talk about
hit me up anytime. I'm always just hanging around.
All right. So thank you all for listening tonight, and we appreciate you all. And remember, make sure to check out at Porkbender. That's Swiney, and we'll have him back as well. All right. That's it. I'm going. I'm leaving. Good night.
Yep. See ya. I'm out of here.
That's it. God, I gotta stop drinking so much.
I got a tooth to pull. Stella's been begging me to pull her tooth out.
Go get that tooth, brother. Go rip it out. You did the other one.
I gotta go make sure I got $1 first. I'll put it under the pillar and really
shit.
I don't want to yank it out and then not what am I gonna do? Go find $1?
Give her quarters, bro. Give her quarters.
Yeah, she'll be like, "Oh, cool! I got extra money."
Grant, do you have kids that you know about?
I do not. No.
No. Good. Yeah, good. Wait a long time before you have them because